Hey, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, and welcome to another question and answer. I do have a cautionary tale for all you upholsterers out there, upholsterer wannabes. So, part of what we do, definitely, we're movers as well as upholsterers because we have to upholster the furniture to pick it up and deliver it. So, I want to tell you a story that happened. Oops, I got to get my. How's that? Is that better?
It just shut down. It just completely crashed. I've never seen that before.
Really?
Yeah.
So what happens
Completely
now?
crashed.
Can they see me?
I've never had that before. See that? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Did you see what it did?
Can they see me?
You're back. That was weird. Wirecast completely crashed.
Yeah, so we had technical difficulties.
So it is off to a haunted start.
Spooky. Anyhow, so I had a love seat that I finished, and an upholsterer friend of mine helped me take it in from the van to the shop. It wasn't that much, not long, the of a distance really at all. And I've done it a million times. So isn't he? He's 10 years my senior. So the interesting thing is when you're lifting furniture with somebody, there's got to be one person's got to be the boss, really, to tell the other person, to warn the other person of steps or of places. But, we've done this so many times. So my friend decided that he was going to go backwards with the sofa, which he insisted. So the thing is, because he's 10 years, he's almost like a mentor to me, if you can believe it. I'm a mentor to a lot of people out there. But he, because he's been in the business longer, that's interesting how that works. I actually saw, just a little off subject, an interview with Larry Bird and after he became famous and the great basketball player that he was. They had a interview him and his high school coach, and the reverence that he had for the high school coach, he never lost. He called him coach, and it was like he was an 18-year-old kid again. So I thought that was interesting. But this kind of like it is with this guy. So if he says he wants to walk backwards, that's I'm not going to say anything. And so going into the shop, there's this little step up. It's only about 1.5 inches, if that, and it's just to keep the water out of the door, So he's going backwards, and I'm saying, I said to myself, should I tell him about that step? No, he'll know it. And sure enough, he tripped over this 1.5-inch step. He went back, and he fell. The sofa was coming down on the love seat was coming down on him. I kind of tried to lift the sofa from one end up off of him, and then he hit his head on the door jamb, and he went flat in his back. And then I wrenched my back, and so it took him. I saw him today. He's fine. It took him a lot longer to recover than it did me. I mean, I was a day with the wrench back. That was it. But it is a cautionary tale that lifting furniture is part of the job. That's such an unusual thing for that to happen to me. I'll tell you why. Because usually I'm the one telling somebody else, whether it be Patrick or Jimmy, and they listen because they have a lot of respect for me because because of how many pieces of furniture that I've delivered and how many different angles that I know. I usually get the first angle, when you're bringing it into a doorway. I'm usually pretty good about the first angle. As you know, there's many angles to getting a piece of furniture in a doorway sometimes. So they listen to me. I almost give them every move. Okay, you want to walk backwards in about 3 steps, for instance. This is how I'd go. If they're walking backwards, oftentimes I walk backwards because walking backwards is the harder of the two. That's my opinion. But if somebody else is walking back, if you're walking backwards, you've got to tell the guy, what's coming up. Patrick's really good at this. He'll say, okay, at about 3 feet, you got a 1-inch little step up. Okay. And at 3 more feet, you got the first step. It's a little bit of a long step, so be careful. Things like that. You go through the whole thing. And then when you get in the house, that's actually interesting because you're looking for, like the other day we delivered Jimmy, did you deliver that chair, that love seat? No, it was Jimmy. So they had the dining room, was it? No, it was you, Pat. Remember the chandelier?
Yeah.
It's the chandeliers. They had the dining room table moved for us to come in, and there's a chandelier in the middle of the room. You'd be surprised how much you can forget that there's a chandelier in the room when you're trying to bring a piece of furniture in, and you're going to hit your head on that. I've whacked my head on those things. Learned my lesson well. But there's so much to it. It's the delivery of a piece of furniture, you guys. You know, and of course you've got it in plastic. You should have it in plastic. The presentation is everything, really, in this business. Anyhow, I just thought you'd like that little story. So this is a question and comment live, and so if you have those, let us know. Patrick, you'll let me know if there's one. But I did want to thank all our YouTubers out there who have subscribed, and all those who are watching for the first time. I know that there are other choices in upholstery, in the upholstery world online. Patrick thinks that we have the best channel and the best online classes, and people do say that, and there are choices though. So if you've picked us, I want to thank you for that, because there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes, mostly from Patrick. I mean, I get up in front of a camera and I upholster with Jimmy, or I do a YouTube, and then that's it for me. But there's a lot of back work that's done with the editing, even on the YouTube ones. There's tabs that you have to do, and there's work to it, and it's not easy. So when we get a subscriber, I think it's well earned. I've said this before, 20,000 subscribers. If you told me that when I first started that we'd have 20,000, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been happy. I think at that time we were happy getting 1,000, and then it's been building ever since. I haven't checked it. We'd hit the 20,000 plateau, and I'm not sure where we are, but we probably won't pay much attention until 25,000 maybe. So we're going to get to and Jimmy's not here today. I think Jimmy's just taking a day off. Halloween is a busy time down on the transit system. A lot going on. A lot of people taking the T. So we'll get to the YouTube first, I think, unless you want to go to the Facebook first, Patrick. There's only one. We'll go to the YouTube. So David says that this is about how to upholster padding a chair. Thank you. You're a great teacher. Thank you. I appreciate that. I try, we give it a lot. We try to do a good job, and I try to break it down. I think that's, for beginners, I think we're a beginner and journeyman YouTube station. I mean, I think there might be people who have worked in upholstery shops and are in their journeyman or ladder journeyman, and they might tune in and see, the same old, that they've learned it before. But I think that for DIY, I think the focus has been DIY, honestly, for beginners and journeymen. But I think we have professional upholsterers, and some that join us online, like Randy, who do tune in and watch, and hopefully I'm able to teach him a few things. Actually, Randy has taught us a few things too, right, Patrick? So it's a mutual thing with upholsterers. But I think just being out there, and trying to reach everybody, I think it's kind of hard to do. That's why I think we went to the online classes, where they're more in depth. That I think everybody can appreciate those classes. I think YouTube is more the DIY. So thanks, David. And then we have Eileen in the art of spitting tacks. She said, I bought vintage upholstery tacks with the label saying they are sterilized, obviously for the spitter's health. I'd not try it, thank you. I was taught with tacks and a magnetic hammer. Just spill out some on the table and pick them up and put them in, no sweat. Yeah, that's how I teach my students. Have them spread out. They have to spread them out though, so that they don't pick up more than one around the table, about every inch apart, and that's pretty effective. You don't really. But if you were on an assembly line 100 years ago as an upholsterer, you had better be good at spitting tacks, because there was a lot of competition for work, and it was done by piecework. So you had to move fast to make some money. So you really had to be good. That's why we called it the art of spitting tacks. Heather, she said, how to upholster 1860 antique chair. We got so many comments on that, Patrick. Part 3, spring tying. She wants to know what kind of twine do we use. I'm doing almost exactly the same chair except that it's round. Yeah, we use a ruby twine, R-U-B-Y twine. It's a jute twine. And it's pretty, it's an Indian, it comes from India. By the way, I was reading an article, what's it, I think maybe Randy sent it, or somebody sent it to me about, or Facebook sent it, about how the jute industry was saved in India by Trader Joe's. I don't know if you guys know, I guess they sell some jute carry-alls or something at Trader Joe's and some other companies. But we will thank Trader Joe's if they did save the jute industry, because we wouldn't have jute. We use our jute webbing and our spring tying with that. So I'm glad the industry is well. And then another comment on the same video, Heather again. Is there another tool to use besides the clincher? The cheapest I can find that tool is $350. Well, Heather, what you could do is we have a YouTube video on how to attach springs using the nylon twine and a button needle. And you need to know how to do a slip knot. So those 3, we have slip knot videos, we have at least 2 of them. And we have how to attach those springs using, I'm pretty sure we got separate videos for that. So check out, if you've got some time, scroll through our library. I think last count, I don't know how many videos we have, but hundreds of videos. So check it out. Now we'll get to Kristen on Facebook. We've noticed a little bit of a slowdown on the Facebook since last week, but I think people are busy this time of year. So she says, I'm looking for a stapler. So far I just have a drop-in spring chair that I want to finish up, but I expect I will do more upholstery in time. I've been looking for a wood frame couch like a Stickley Prairie that is affordable for myself. Any recommendations? So the best stapler in the business is the BEA. It's a pneumatic staple gun. It doesn't really matter compressor, except if you want to try to get a compressor that doesn't make a lot of noise, and that can at least, any compressor that's drawing at least 80 pounds of pressure will be fine to work with that BEA. But that's the best. It's an expensive stapler, though. So I'm going to now go to my question. We have a question. Okay.
This one is from Sylvia.
Hi, Sylvia.
I read an article about jute twine used in upholstery. They recommend using a beeswax on the twine for the knots of springs. They stated they had a secure knot with the wax.
Actually, Sylvia, the ruby twine, I'm going to go grab some. I think I got some over here. Just to show you. That's one of the qualities of the ruby twine. I'm not sure if they treat it with the beeswax, but the ruby twine has that quality. And a lot of upholsterers, those guys that were doing piecework that I just mentioned, didn't even tie knots with this. They did a crossover twine just to speed the process up of the 8-way tie. So they actually, that extra step of tying a knot, I recommend for beginners. You guys can find your own way or techniques once you get the basics down. But what I show is, we have a video that we have online at Upholstery on Broadway. We have a kit that's available that has the electronic book and the hard copy book that you can buy, and the frame of the stool, and it shows you how to do this with the 8-way tie. But as you progress and you can do a crossover, you have to be good at tying springs to do that, because here's the idea of the twine having that quality that doesn't slip. Nylon twine is awful this way. That's a replacement twine for this. No beeswax. I'm not sure if you can use beeswax on nylon, but they slip like you wouldn't believe, that nylon twine. So this stuff has a good quality to it, where you can just do not even a knot. You can do it like a half a knot, like it's a crossover, and tie the whole row and then anchor it down. But this definitely has that quality to it. Yeah.
I've actually used craft twine
Uh-huh.
for bookmaking when I was in college.
Yeah.
And they always recommend getting a waxed twine because it does make really nice knots that don't
Yeah.
slip.
Doesn't slip. So is it a nylon though, or was it a jute? Do you know what the
I
material?
don't remember.
Could have been a cotton too.
Could have been, yeah.
Couldn't, but it's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. Any other?
Yep, next one is Melinda.
Uh huh.
Do you ever apply a fabric protector like Scotch Guard?
Scotch Guard is the old treatment, which you can still get Scotch Guard cans in most local hardware stores. Scotch Guard is not a permanent solution, though. A lot of people don't realize that you have to Scotch Guard maybe even once a year, twice a year on dining room chairs. It doesn't last. And a lot of people in my area of the world, at least, they're always asking about chemicals, and they don't like chemicals. I had a woman come in the other day, was looking through books. She wanted to know what the nano. Can you talk a little bit about nanotex, Michaela, and why that's environmentally friendly? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure nanotex is environmentally friendly, opposed to Teflon, which is not. Teflon they've traced from I think it was in New Jersey. I don't want to down New Jersey. I think it was a New Jersey production factory that made it. They can actually trace the Teflon chemical from that factory all the way through the ecosystem up to a polar bear. You know, it goes all the way up to the North Pole. They find traces of Teflon in the polar bears. I mean, it goes right through the. So people, especially if you're in an educated area, they're very in tune to these things. So it's good to have some options. I think that our fabric line is mostly environmentally friendly.
Yeah, I know, and I don't think I've ever seen actually Scotch Guard on any of.
No, not anymore. It used to be all the time. Now, not so much. But if a customer needs, I do say you could go to the store and get a Scotch Guard, but there are professional cleaners that offer that as a service, and I think that the professional cleaners are getting better at these eco-friendly treatments also. So, hope that answers our question.
Yeah, Sylvia says that the label on the Scotch Guard states it lasts 6 months.
Oh, 6 months. Yeah.
Sailrite has a marine fabric protection that lasts longer.
Yeah.
Randy also says, my fabric supplier offers a treatment called Lifeguard. I usually recommend that.
Is that, Randy, is that a environmentally friendly chemical? I don't even like using the word chemical. So maybe he'll answer that. But in his part of the world, it might not be as much on people's minds. I'm just guessing, Randy. So don't hold me to that. But I get this asked a lot, and I think the nanotex, Randy, maybe that's a nanotex technology. I'm pretty sure that's environmentally friendly. So it's a question that comes up a lot. But anyhow, so I think what I'm going to do now, you guys can still ask questions. I have a little time because Jimmy's not here. Jimmy last week was funny, wasn't he? I mean, he sometimes throws us little. We get sidetracked a lot with Jimmy. At least I do. I'm not going to blame him because I'm half the problem. But I asked Jimmy last week if he had any cats, and he told me he had 5 cats, and he started naming them, and I just thought the names were funny. He never got to he had 5 cats. He only got through the second cat name, and then we got all distracted and everything. But cats, as you guys know, are best friends, right? They are our best friends. So I wanted to just go through some of my recent, and Michaela's going to get some current ones that have been asked, estimates as usual towards the end of this. But I wanted to go through, it's a big pile, you guys. You know what I'm finding right now, if you guys, this is a real big problem for me. People are leaving things, man. No matter how hard I try, and no matter how insistent a person is that, oh, don't worry, I'm going to do this right away. I'm going to take your book and I'll have it back this afternoon, Michaela. That happened over the weekend. Saturday, guy promised, bring it back. Never brought it back. Now it's Monday night, as I haven't seen it. So we do this. We loan books out, and they're our lifeblood, really, and they don't come back. And sometimes they never come back. That's one problem. But the other, even a bigger problem, is people leaving furniture, man. This can really hinder you in a business. For instance, square footage. We pay in the Boston area a lot for square footage. So I'll tell you what I got. I got a sofa, and I got 3 chairs, 4, 5. I've got 5 chairs and 2 sofas. So when you take the square footage, even if you're piling them up on one another, or if you're leaning them up on one another, I'm saying on the minimum, that's maybe 200 square feet. My shop is only 500 square feet in Arlington. We pay a lot of money per rent. So that's one problem, a big problem. I'm always, handling is the other problem. So you've got storage, they charge you for storage and handling. Handling means I'm constantly moving this. It's dead furniture. It's dead furniture, man. And I've taken deposits on them. People will say, well, you got to take deposits. Do take deposits. People pay me, and they just leave it, So, and I call, and so I'm stuck with this furniture. So the reason I bring it up is I have this divided in my. These are my dead orders here. I got one sofa, another sofa, 2 sofas, another chair, and then some other ones that are about to go in there. That's a dead file. And then I have another. I kind of call this my active dead file. Then I have another dead file of estimates we've given that we didn't get. That's at the shop. That's going to happen. That doesn't bother me as much as this file, even with the deposits I have on this stuff. This bothers me because this I know is costing me money. So we could have policies where if it's there for 3 years and that's it, we may have to do that at one point. We haven't had to do it. It seems to be a phenomenon more I think because of the pandemic more than anything. So I think that's the problem. It's not like I used to be able to handle them. It used to be more manageable before the pandemic. So I suspect it's the pandemic. So a lot of things have changed, haven't they, you guys? Business is not easier as a result of the pandemic. I mean, we've had shortages, and now this problem that I'm telling you now, I'm pretty sure it's related to that. But there's good news. We have these jobs. I'm always happy to report that I have work, and I'm really happy in my work. And I'm looking that maybe you guys feel the same way out there when you have, 3, 4, 5 weeks ahead of yourself. So we have a question, actually.
It's actually a comment. Malcolm says 3 years after a month, sell it.
Yeah, I know. Then I get caught up in the stories, Malcolm. Like there's one sofa, I don't want to mention names or go too deep into it, but there's problems. There's problems associated with it. It's not like these people fell off the earth. I'll call, they'll answer, oh yeah, I'll have to get around to it, and then they don't. So it's kind of like I'm in this cycle, and I just don't want to create more problems by getting rid of it, if you know what I mean. But I guess maybe one day I'll have to. But anyhow, so we have the first estimate I want to talk about is this. I just want to read some of the things that I recently took in.
One more
Yep.
comment actually before we do that. Malcolm says, there may be a legal requirement in your state for quote-unquote abandoned goods. Make sure you know what it is.
Yeah. Now that he mentioned the word abandon, right? So people abandon money. Like our treasurer comes out and posts money that people have abandoned, and they don't even collect it. So what makes me think furniture is going to be any different, right, Michaela? So Alice, I won't mention any names. I shouldn't mention names. So I took in a job that was a grandmother rocker, which is up here, and it was 3 yards of fabric that I quoted. She picked out a nice diamond-shaped fabric, and then she also had 2 cushions from a Eames chair, or not an Eames chair, a Stickley chair. And she picked out a fabric, the same diamond shape, but only it was like a almost like a pink diamond. It's kind of nice, you know. I like when people mix fabric up like that on different pieces of furniture, but they use the same pattern. So that was an interesting job. I like that. The cushions, I can't show you the cushions because they're not here.
There is a question.
Okay.
Randy asks, have you ever had someone die between dropping off a job and finishing it? Or picking up a job and finishing it?
Oh no, I haven't had that happen. I don't think so. I wonder if he's had that happen. Now that I think of it, I've been lucky that way. Or the customer's been lucky. And then here's an interesting one, you guys. I got a call from we don't usually. It's unusual where another state calls me. Like, I don't know. I think Randy seems to be more regional than me. I think his area of operations probably a lot more extended. I know that Blair down in Alabama, we talked about Blair. Well, his area is very. He told me he goes to other states. Not so much me. I kind of focus on the 10-mile radius around my shop because it's a very congested area too. So it makes for keeping costs down for shipping. And I'm going to mention something about this with this client. So this client they're from Rhode Island. So they went to an upholsterer near the Massachusetts line and Rhode Island line. I'm about, I don't know, 90. How many miles are we from Rhode Island? 90 miles from Rhode Island, maybe? Something like that. Maybe 80 miles. 80 miles. And they went to an upholsterer nearby. He happened to be in Massachusetts, and they called him, and he wasn't very responsive. They didn't like the answers they were getting, so they decided to come up to Arlington from Rhode Island, which was interesting. So they met me, and they said, "Okay, we want you to do the work. We'll take care of all the trucking." So they hired a truck. The truck came in the other day to drop the furniture off. It's a sofa and a chair. It's a good job for me. I was grateful. And I happened to see they gave me the invoice, and you know how much they charge? $800. $800 to deliver the sofa and the chair about 80 miles. But these were professional truckers. These were a local company, but they were professional. You know, they had the big, oversized truck. Really, too much for what they needed. Really, so trucking is expensive. So. That would be probably, if I were to add on this estimate for most customers, an $800 trucking fee, I would probably lose the job. That to me is a lot of money. So I try to keep, being in a congested area has its advantages where, like this morning, I went out and delivered a chair, to a neighboring community, and was back and forth in 20 minutes, 20 minutes each way, and didn't charge for a pickup or delivery, you know. So I think it's an advantage to be in a really congested area. I had a customer come in Saturday, called and insisting that I do a job that I don't usually do, but this gentleman was so insistent. Excuse me for a second. I took it. I took the job. You know, you have to be sometimes very diplomatic, right, Randy, when you're a business owner. I had 2 people in. I was by myself Saturday. I had 2 people in there looking at fabrics. They were dragging their feet only for a while. 2 people for like an hour, and then this guy comes in. And he only had, like, I hate doing gym stuff. Like, this was some type of gym equipment that he had. He says, it's easy, anybody can do it. And I said, well, if it's easy, I felt like saying, why aren't you doing it? But he comes in the front door, and I mean, he was a little bit, he just boisterous, you know, and I just wanted to get him in and out, and I was being nice to him. I was very courteous to him, and I gave him a really good price, and I told him, okay, I'll do it, but I don't like doing it. But sometimes you do things you don't like to do just to keep the peace, and that's what that was. I'm sure Randy, I guess that's called customer service, right, Randy? So now I got, so I owed a sofa that came in, neighboring community, another neighboring community, this was a rush job. I had down 2 weeks, and I've got the body done, and I do have subcontractors, and I've got the cushions out to a subcontractor who is taking a little longer than normal, so it's kind of delaying the job, and I don't want to push her too much because your subcontractors can, you need to make sure that they're happy. So I'm at 2.5 weeks on this job now, and she hasn't called, so I'm hoping. Sometimes people tell you 2 weeks, but they really mean 3, but they want it back. So that's another job, anyhow. Oh, so here's a job. This is a womb chair and an ottoman that I think Michaela and I estimated on one of the live shows. So she was going to drop off, but she called me. I don't know if I told you this, Michaela. She couldn't get it in her car. Womb chairs are very deceptive. They're very wide. So it didn't go, so we have to go pick that up. So we got a good price on it, so I said, we'll just, as a customer service, another customer service. Just sometimes I don't think nickeling and diming people is a good idea. I don't think you want to be. I know people who just charge everything, and they what they do is they itemize it all out. I'm not so sure about that as a small businessman. I know bigger companies probably have to do that, and they do it all the time. Like bigger, furniture companies and everything. They charge for everything, diesel, disposal, all that stuff. Speaking of diesel, I hope that we don't run out soon. So Kimberly, I will pick that up, and I'll be coming shortly. I think we scheduled it. I'm very responsive when it comes to things like that. And then, let's see. Some of the small jobs, small jobs sometimes, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. This is just a cushion. One cushion, lady comes in, customer, sorry. Comes in, I give her an okay price, and it was just 1 yard of fabric. It wasn't a big job. It was like $175. But sometimes people, I don't know if you're aware of this, sometimes people test a company by giving them a small job first just to see how the small job goes. And I've had people, give me a cushion like this and say, you know what, I need my living room set done. And then you get a big job. So you never know. That's why you want to treat every customer the same. You never know. Is there anything else, Michaela? Any questions or comments?
Well, Randy did answer, and he said that he did have a close call, but not quite a death.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, so I had a funny one here. So I had a really nice customer from 2 towns over. She has a sectional, and she picked out. We're getting a lot of contrast fabrics. They have they cycle, and now it seems like every 15 years or 20 years they cycle where contrasting fabric gets popular. So this customer decided that she wanted to do the body in one fabric and the cushions in another. And so it was on a Saturday she came in. We took payment, which we don't like to do sometimes on a Saturday because we can't always find out if the fabric's available. So we took the payment. She spent a lot of time picking a contrasting fabric out. I called Monday and the fabric that Monday, and the fabric for the contrasting was not available for they quoted out 15 weeks, Michaela. So I called the customer, and then she said, "Oh, you know what? I think I'll keep the cushions that are on there. Don't worry about it," which was nice of her. But then I needed to. It kind of messed the job up a little bit because then I needed to credit her, right? So guess what happened the other day, Michaela? The fabric came in just out of the blue.
Really?
Just like that, out of the blue.
Wow.
So sometimes I think that's a canceled order, and then they just filled our order. So I called her. I said, would you still want to do it? I was so hoping she would say yes, and she did. So kind of rescued that job. Once in a while you get lucky, you know. That was an example of that. And then, you know, I have a customer who gave me this chair to reupholster, and there's another big wing chair that you guys have seen. And this was with the understanding that her mom is in a memory care or something unit, and she has a lot going on in her life. And the understanding was that I would pick it up and hold it. Here's an example. I hope it's not too long that I have to hold it. And before she even picks fabric out, but she gave us a good deposit, so I'm hoping that the deposit is going to be. It's funny about deposits on furniture. I think with me, it's like if I get a hefty deposit, I don't mind moving something around for a little while. I'd say a couple of months, but then it starts to get. There's a business, you know, clock. There's a ticking, you know, that goes on about money and about what it's costing you to move a piece of furniture, and you realize that you've exhausted the deposit. So I guess that's what it is. So hopefully that doesn't happen in these. But anyhow, I think that's it for that. And Michaela, do you have anything? Is there any other questions or comments?
Randy just commented and said, I have a number of test jobs, mostly pillows at first and then something more.
Test jobs?
Yeah, like somebody will bring in a smaller, like you were saying, a smaller piece of furniture or a smaller job, and then all of a sudden, you know, be like, I want a whole living room set done.
No kidding. He has that happen too. I want to ask Randy, what would you consider your business radius around your shop out there in Wisconsin? Esquire Upholstery, by the way, in Wisconsin is Randy. If you're in that area, I've seen his work. He's really good. I'm just wondering about what his radius is.
Malcolm says, exhausting a deposit sounds like exhausting the profit in the job.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true, Malcolm. Definitely. So I worry, maybe overly worry about my. I mean, we have a great online reputation and online presence and online rating system. We're 5 stars, and I guess I'm constantly worried about that. You know, a bad review. A bad review can knock you down a half a star, which is interesting. And there is competition. People say to me, "Oh, how many upholsterers could there be in the Boston area?" Well, there are 222 upholsterers in the metropolitan Boston area officially, and there's probably 1,000 DIY upholsterers working out of their basements and things like that don't have storefronts. So yeah, there's a lot of upholsterers. So the competition between upholsterers is tight. So some people only go by reviews. They'll look at a 4.5 star review, or God forbid I know some people have 3-star reviews who don't seem to care, who should. But the difference between a 4.5 and a 5 is substantial. I mean, you know, people like to read negative reviews, I think. I just think they want to get an overall view. Now, most people who are savvy, though, I think if there's one 1-star review, that can happen to anybody. So, I mean, you can't be too paranoid about it. But I think that if you have a piece of furniture and then if I get tough with, and I have pushed a customer a little bit, and they didn't like it. But I let off the gas, and then it's still here. But I started thinking, okay, she's local. She's on the computer. If I push this any harder, maybe I'll get a bad review, and I don't want a bad review, because I really do think that a good review is like gold and a bad review is not. So, any other questions or answers? Did Randy answer that question? I'm just curious about that.
Yes, he did answer. He said about 25 miles, give or take.
25. That's interesting.
And I guess he said that also keeps the U-Haul rental under 100.
Yeah, see? These are things we have to consider, right?
And Malcolm asks, can you charge storage fees?
Yeah. That's another thing. I don't like these extra charges. As a small businessman, I have to be careful because what we do is we build see, we would have to do that right in the very beginning. If we did that, we'd have to have, and Patrick's been after me for this. He's been after me to set policies. Like Patrick's probably more of a businessman than I am because he went to school for business. But I have a little bit of a problem with this, but it does keep you out of trouble. So originally, when we have our statements, our estimates, you could have the fine print on the statements saying that you would have to charge storage, but because I don't have that, I can't. So maybe if this problem persists, maybe we will have to do that. But see, part of the difficulty with me is that upholstery is so intimate, and you do get to know people. There's a lot of personality, I think, in selling in upholstery. I think there's a likability factor, definitely more so in other businesses. That has to be there, I think, for people to use you and then come back and recommend friends, and then I think when you start getting into the little fees, people don't like that, and actually I think opens you up to litigation more, to be honest with you. When you start with you have 10 lines of storage fees, insurance fees, and all that stuff. Maybe that opens up. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think it depends on the size of your business too. I think that these things can really get out of control if your volume is more, right? So maybe you would have to be a little bit more legalistic in your approach. But anyhow, do you have Michaela, do you have a question? I mean, do you have any estimates? Or before we do that, any more questions? Comments?
We have 2 estimates that we can do.
Okay.
Actually, I think one came in while we were doing this.
No, that's good.
We can start off with that first one.
Okay, do you want to read that?
Sofa needs to be reupholstered. It has faux leather that needs to be replaced with white leather.
Yeah. Well, you're going to give them the bad news because we've had it with leather. We've had it with leather and faux leathers. I've had it with the quality, the poor quality, and the inconsistencies, that you get in both, and I think it's just not worth it. So you give her the bad news that we don't do it. While Mikhail is getting some other ones up here, I just wanted to mention that classes have really been taken off. If you guys are local to Arlington, we still have some openings. A Tuesday night class, which is tomorrow night, November 1st. This is your chance to jump in a class, an 8-week class. After this, we are really going to get busy. We've been hired by 2 local educational systems here, or school systems, one in Brookline, Massachusetts, and the other one in Arlington, Massachusetts, to conduct classes and training. So we're going to be very busy. We're going to be offering 2 classes on a Monday, and Tuesday and Thursday night classes, and we're going to add classes as needed. So we're really moving and enrollment's up, and I think this is going to probably be the last opening class this late into a semester that I'm going to see for a long time. So if you want, contact us at Upholstery on Broadway at gmail.com. You can sign up on the website. But we'd love to have you. It's 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. and it runs 8 consecutive Tuesdays. Okay?
So how much would this cost if they would, decide to do it in fabric?
Okay, that piece there has a bolstered back, which is interesting, and it's a mid-century. I don't think they're going to do fabric because it's pretty uniquely a faux or a leather piece, and they've got this covered with a fur, and I can't see if that's buttoned underneath there. It's stitched, I think, and she's got 2 cushions. So I don't know. I would say $3,200 plus 10 yards. So one of my problems, because we're in the Boston area and we don't have much spaces, we can't have people leave the furniture. You have to bring it back and forth. So I would say there was at least 3 people who were interested in taking the class who didn't have the means of transport, and I just don't have the space. It's just really tight. So we had to say no. So we had to say you can't leave your furniture. So we don't know how to get around that, except that the commercial space in the Boston area is just too prohibitive. We can't have a bigger space. As a matter of fact, even the schools have problems with space. I mean, they love the idea of me teaching at my own shop because they don't have any available rooms anywhere in these communities. We have another question to answer.
So here's a comment first before a question. SG just said, weirdly enough, I've just turned down reupholstering 2 modern leather sofas for the same reasons.
Really? Yeah.
And then Malcolm asks, how do you handle insurance issues for items you pick up and deliver? Who pays if it's damaged in transit?
So I have homeowners insurance, and I also have insurance at the shop. I try not to file. I try to fix all my problems, even though I have insurance, because as you know, your insurance goes up when you're filing too many claims. As a matter of fact, upholsterers in my part of the country, I don't know how you guys got insured, but when I lost my insurance because of the pandemic, I had a hard time. I didn't get it reinstated. They wouldn't let me reinstate it because there was some type of problem with upholsterers in the past or something. But it wasn't so much my problem. It was an industry problem that they didn't want a high risk or something. They said, which I thought was I couldn't figure that one out. But they have some type of scale that they go by. But so I recently I have it now through the Hartford is the insurance company. But I try not to make claims. I try not to do claims, and I don't have too many problems like this because I really take care. I pick up everything. I have that constant contact with the customer. I'm doing most of the jobs and I'm delivering it like I delivered today. So I'm not hiring independent truck drivers who really are good at messing things up, man. They really are good at doing that. And I don't want to get into that. So I do a lot myself.
All right. There's a comment. Melinda says, I'm newbie in Tennessee. Would love to see you do weekend classes in other cities in your spare time, like Knoxville.
Yeah, this is one of our dreams. If we ever had settled down, if we ever find ourselves in a better situation as far as travel, we love to travel, right? Travel around and do that. And this was an idea Patrick's had for a long time, road trips, and there are other upholsterers who have done this. They've gone around, they do seminars across the country. And I would say to you, you're in Tennessee. How far is Tennessee from Alabama, Michaela? Is it the next state over? How's my geography? North. Tennessee's north of Alabama. And I only say that because Blair is a big fan of ours. His shop is in Alabama. If you want to get to know somebody in the industry, if you're a newbie and somebody in the area, Blair, I'm sure if you visited him at his shop, I hope he doesn't mind that I say this, But there's somebody you want to be friends with to see how he's evolved. I love the fact that that you're getting into this business, and one of the reasons why I love the YouTube channel I started is to help others and to kind of and I think we've done a good job filling in some gaps, some learning gaps out there, because I see a lot of younger people now, Patrick, you better be careful, who are starting YouTube channels, which we've advised people to do, right? But I think that's a great thing. It brings in new blood, and I'm always learning. I'm a better upholsterer because of the newbies like Melinda, and because of people who take my class. So I wish I were in a better position. I mean, right now I'm a 6-day a week operational, 10 hours a day upholstery shop, just myself. Working myself. Yeah, I have to be there. I couldn't see myself taking a week or two off right now traveling. Now, I think that if we somehow, at some point, Patrick, decided to take summers off, or big parts of the summer, that might work. I know that we could do. I know that people would sponsor us, like Melinda. She would sponsor us for a week or whatever. But we have that in mind, definitely. Is there any other questions or comments there, Mikhail?
Not right now. So the next estimate.
Okay.
Name is Wendy.
Wendy or Randy? Oh, can we show, before we get to that, I want to show Randy's. Randy did a chair with no upholstery, you guys. Can you believe this?
Saw that.
Did you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that? This is the chair with no upholstery. Thanks, Randy. That's funny. I gotta hand it to you. Ha ha ha. That's crazy. That's got to be not comfortable at all. You know what? You might not have had any upholstery, but you had 5 nails. Never mind. All right, what's the next one? Any other questions?
Wendy.
Wendy, sorry, I got distracted there. Did Jimmy come in? No. Wendy, okay. Okay.
We have a couch we bought at Boston Interiors in 2007. It is such a comfy couch, but it has survived 2 babies and 3 cats. We had custom covers made a few years ago with fabric that was billed as pet friendly, and even those are showing serious wear. I would love to get it redone with a really dense velvet or something that would stand up to cat claws.
So, Michaela, you can have a conversation with her about expectations when it comes to cat claws, because, they're like little razor blades, right?
Yeah.
So what fabric would hold up against a razor? Leather doesn't even hold up against that. They scratch
She mentioned
leather.
Velvet.
Huh?
She mentioned velvet, so definitely something without any sort of texture or weave, which would be velvet.
Okay, so she wants an estimate. The estimate is $2,800 labor plus 20 yards of fabric.
2,800 labor.
Yep. And 20 yards. We love our cats.
Alright, so then that next one is Michelle.
Michelle.
Since she can't transport the chair
Yeah.
to and from class, she asks, I also saw that you do make slipcovers. I'm not looking for anything fancy as far as fabric is concerned, something maybe that the cat won't find as appealing as to what's on it. Would it be possible to get an estimate? I have 2.
She has 2 of them? What was that again? Michelle. I can't say it. I don't know why. Michelle.
It's October 29th.
Oh, okay, you just did that, okay. So, you know, I am gonna look at a picture, show a picture of this chair. You know, swivel chairs are awful to slipcover. Oh, what's that? It's not in there. Oh, no, that was a link. There's no picture. She doesn't have a picture of her chair, right?
No.
Oh, so she's got a swivel chair. This fully upholstered swivel chair. So I mean,
Lazy
it's
Boy fresco swivel chair.
so it's $1,100 for a slipcover labor, and you know she needs 9 yards each. 1,100 labor and 9 yards each. A lot of labor in slipcovers, you guys. As you know, it's good I'm sitting in this chair because I realize the springs are going to have to be retied. Hey, that's another thing, a little tip. Do you guys sit in, you should sit in every piece of furniture except this grandmother rock I wouldn't sit in, I'd break that. But most furniture you should sit in just to get an idea if it needs anything. Sometimes you don't estimate that in, and I never call people and say, sorry, I didn't estimate it with the spring tiring. I don't do that. Just do it. You'll make up for it in another job. All right, I think that's it for the. Is there any other questions or comments before we sign off?
Nope.
Okay, so just another note though on the classes that we're running. I've noticed that after the first semester, we're already getting some really good. Business has just some good feelings that classes having them in studio instead of teaching them off site brings in a lot of positive energy. I mean, it takes a lot of energy on my part, but I try to give that out, make my business exciting. So if you guys are in the process, I guess I'm speaking to people like Blair or even Melinda. You could have a person come in like a mentor, an older person that's an upholsterer or a stitcher, and teach a class in your shop just to get kind of that energy going. You'd be surprised at how much legs that has in the beginning of a business. I've been teaching since the 80s, and I can tell you that the goodwill that you spread, it comes back tenfold, 100-fold. So try to be energized. Try to get that. I know it's an extra effort. I used to teach at night, and I used to travel to do that. And I remember the other upholsterers actually kind of making fun of me, saying, "Oh, that's a waste of time," or wow, you're getting home at used to get home at 10:30 at night because the classes would run from like 6 to 10 at night. They were tough. But I think looking back on that gave me a lot of experience, and it's paying off right now. People know you, and they'll use you when they know you. So that's it. If you have any questions on classes or how to run them, we may do a little, more than one person. I mean, with Jimmy, he's the only person on the online class. But when you have more people, there's a little bit of a difference to that, different flavor. So if you guys are interested, let me know, ask the questions, and we'll answer them. So we'll see you, unless there's another question or comment, Patrick. So sorry about it. We're a little bit not as informed, not as much material this week, I think, because Jimmy's not here to talk about his online class. But we're glad you tuned in, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.